Call recording is on.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Rajiv S. Khanna for Immigration.com, the law offices of Rajiv S. Khanna PC. This is a community conference call in which we provide you information. This does not establish an attorney-client relationship. You are not in any way beholden to us, nor we to you. Um, Call is being recorded, so if you want to keep your identity confidential, you may do so. There is no need to announce who you are. You can make up a name, Tom, Dick, Harry. It doesn't really matter. Um, I appreciate the fact that we've got one person from California. And this is Saturday morning, early morning call. So it's probably, well, it is 5 o'clock in California. I also have with me a colleague from my office, Heather from our Stanton office, who has very kindly given up this time away from her family just to participate with us. Because I'm not a procedures person, she can probably correct me if I am going wrong somewhere. She can let us know what the procedures are. Of course, I'm the law person. That said, the need for this call was that I got a slew of inquiries related to applying for parents, and it's the same rules that apply for spouses of US citizens. And this is under the current law. When the future law comes, if it does come, we don't know what it's going to look like. Okay? So I wanted to record something that everybody in the community could use. I did not feel it appropriate to charge individual consultation for the same set of questions, which I could just as easily answer free of charge. So that's what we are doing here. And all the participants are in what is called question answer mode. All you have to do is press *6 on your phones to unmute yourselves to talk, and feel free to join the conversation. Interrupt me, it's no problem at all. This is just an easygoing conversation between, people, one of us who knows a little bit more about an area of the law, and some of you who need that information. So just feel free to interrupt me. That said, let's look at what are the issues in processing of green card for parents and spouses of U.S. citizens, also children, of course, immediate relatives. The immediate relative category is not subject to a quota. There is no quota. The time it takes is the processing time. Okay, and as I'm taking the first question, this is from a gentleman whose parents' case has been pending at the U.S. Embassy since 2011 for 2 full years. They were interviewed in 2011, their passports were kept by the consulate, and the cases were put in administrative processing. So the question is, what do I do in a situation like this? I'm taking this a little bit out of turn because I want to make sure that the questions that are easily answered, I can answer them first, so people don't have to stay hanging on a Saturday morning listening to, like I said, boring conversation that doesn't apply to them. So what do we do when we have a situation like this? Do we get a lawyer? Not yet. I think the best thing to do right now is to contact your congressman. How do you do that? Well, let me show you. One way to do that is just go to immigration.com, which is our website, and in the search box, as I'm doing it on the presentation, type members of Congress. So type that. When you do that search, let's see. The search is a little slow for me because I'm logged in as a, you can't see it, but I'm logged in. There's a top bar. I'm logged in as an administrator. So when I'm logged in as an administrator in the content management system on our website, I don't get pages that have been cached. I get fresh queries, so things can be a little bit slower. But right here, you see this video right here, contacting members of Congress and USCIS Ombudsman for immigration cases. Contact a member of Congress, whoever is closest to you, and the video tells you how to do that. Okay, do that. That should help. Anybody has any questions so far? Go ahead, please.
Sure. Mr. Khanna, may I ask a question?
Yeah. My name is Rajiv. Don't call me Mr. Khanna. Nobody does.
Okay. Rajiv, this is Mohammed, and the particular case regarding 2011.
Yes, sir. I know who you are.
You-
I read your email. I
yeah.
didn't want to name you because I respected your confidentiality. So, but go ahead.
So, regarding the administrative processing, when you are saying that we should contact the congressman or the House representative, uh, I think we are not very helpful. In my particular case, I contacted everyone. I exhausted all of the resources, and even on their website, it's written that if you are calling or contacting for the administrative process kind of thing, they are not going to help anything.
Okay.
Very clearly on their website.
Okay.
It has,
Muhammad ji, let me ask you a quick question. You know that there are two members of Congress serving any one area.
right.
There is the House of
Yeah.
Representative member and there is the senator. Did you contact them both?
Yes, I did both.
Okay.
And the same reply I received, what I can get the answer by calling the local DC state office to get the visa status. They tell you the same thing, hey, your case is under administrative processing,
Okay.
and there is nothing we can do. We cannot predict the anytime and all that stuff.
Okay. In my view, that's unreasonable. This amount of time for immediate relatives is unreasonable. So I was trying to not spend your money, but I think you are going to have to spend money. Get yourself a lawyer. What the lawyers will do is they'll start by sending an email to the consulate, hope for a response. If it doesn't work, then they will escalate it to LegalNet, which is a unique facility available only to lawyers so far. LegalNet is a US Department of State network for lawyers only, where if I send in a request, I usually get a response within a couple of weeks. And if they still are going to keep cases holding, at least what we can do is send a written request to the visa office, which is an office in Washington, D.C., which also operates the LawNet, the LegalNet line. And hopefully something comes off it. But in admin processing cases, there isn't much we can do. The last option would be to file a lawsuit. And lawsuits against consulates are not very successful simply because they have immunity against judicial review. But if a case is too unreasonable, you never know. And filing the lawsuit has the advantage that the consulate State Department may want to then settle the case. Okay? So step one, get a lawyer. Step two, think of a lawsuit if that doesn't work. Any questions? Muhammad?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to put him on mute again. And let's go on to the next topic. Okay. So here's a set of questions from another community member. I'll be a citizen on this date in 2013. My parents have a multiple visit tourist visa until 2015. They are here in USA due to return on May XXX date. When should we apply for their green card? Now this brings me to the unique issue of, can I apply for my family members' green card, immediate family members' green card, when they are visiting USA? Remember, this does not apply to anybody except immediate relatives, because for immediate relatives, you can file I-130 and I-485 together and get their adjustment of status right away. For the other family members, like for example brothers, you have to wait 13 years before you can apply the last step, and they are not legal to stay in the United States while this is pending. Okay, so this only applies to immediate relatives. Here is the problem. When somebody enters USA on a tourist visa, they are representing both to the US consulate when they obtained the visa and to the CBP, the Customs and Border Protection at the airport, that they are entering USA for a temporary visit. If they enter and 3 days later, and I have a case that I'm fighting right now where somebody did that, 3 days later they applied for green card, USCIS says you committed fraud because you lied to us when you entered using your tourist visa. You had the intention to apply for a green card. Does that mean we can never do this? We can. If when we entered USA, we had no intention to apply for green card, but later on our intention changed. There is a rule. It is a very odd rule. I think it's a silly rule, but it's there, the 30-60-day rule, which says if somebody enters USA and applies for a change of status or adjustment of status within 30 days of entry, they are presumed to have a preconceived intention to do so. If they do it within 60 days, then we still can question them about their intention. But if they do it after 60 days, we can presume that they did not have a preconceived intention, but we can still question them because that questioning right doesn't go away. So I don't want anybody to come to USA with a preconceived intention that they are going to change to green card. For example, if they are carrying their birth certificates, all of that is a bad idea. Okay, but if they enter USA and later on their intention changes, that's perfectly okay. It's a matter of circumstances. Now, for in this case, if the visa is expiring, if their stay is expiring in May, that means they've been here probably 4 or 5 months already. And if they did not have a preconceived intention and the intention changed, I think it's okay to apply for their green card. No problem. How long will the process take? Well, there are several steps to the process. This is just not one step. You file the I-130-485 along with I-765 for employment authorization if you want it, I-131 for advanced parole if they need to travel. But usually within a year this process should be wrapped up. But we had one member of the community whose parents have been stuck in his home country for 2 years after interview. So, it's difficult to predict, but it should be less than a year. Can they leave the country after the application? If they leave without obtaining advanced parole, they are considered to have abandoned their adjustment of status. I-130 still continues. They'll have to go through visa processing in their home country then. So what they should do is apply, wait for advanced parole, then leave. Any questions so far, please press *6 to question or comment. *6. Okay. Let me go on to the next topic. So this was, I think, a very detailed set of questions. I actually must congratulate this gentleman for a very orderly mind because he had a very well-defined set of issues that he wanted me to comment on, and that pretty much wraps up the entire discussion of what is involved. So let me get on to this, and I'll try to wrap it up in 10 minutes or so that you guys don't, like I said, this is a Saturday morning. I don't want to take too much time from anybody, but this is important enough for me to have a discussion on this. I get asked this so many times, so I just wanted to put this down. Okay, so this is, my parents are here on a visitor's visa, and they have tickets to go visit London in this month, this year. Ideally, I would like to get the process started. First of all, we have to deal with that issue of preconceived intent. If they've been here a few months and they did not have this intention to begin with, good. Go ahead and get the process started, get the advanced parole, and then they can travel. One question, what if the green card is approved while they're outside USA? Can they still use the advanced parole to enter USA? The answer is yes. Okay. Step by step, what happens during the process? Actually, I misspoke when I said there are several steps involved. There are several steps involved if you are doing it outside USA. But if you are doing within USA, it's a one-step process. You apply for everything all together, and hopefully you get everything. First you get advanced parole, then you get your green card. So that's the way it should work. And I know that you have questions on that. So anybody has any questions or comments so far? Or should I go on? You can press *6 to unmute yourselves. *6. Okay. In any case, if you are not unable to mute yourselves, I will unmute everybody at the end of this conversation, so we can then talk about it. When should we schedule a medical checkup? Medical checkup is done before you file the paperwork. So you send the medical checkup, and this is for those people who are applying within USA, because medical checkup is a part of I-485 process. If you're doing consular processing, you just apply I-130. The papers go to National Visa Center, who sends your lawyers or you a bunch of papers to fill out with some fees. You send those papers out, send them back to National Visa Center, New Hampshire, which is the clearing center for consulates. So from USCIS, the I-130 approval goes to the NVC. From NVC, it goes to the individual consulate. Consulate contacts your parents, tell them to go for medicals in their home country. They go for medicals and go for an interview. And the green card is given. They have to enter USA within a certain number of months. That depends upon where they are from. Okay, so they are given a sealed envelope by the consulate at the termination of the interview or a day or two later. They take that sealed envelope, don't open it, take it with you when you come to USA. You'll be giving that to the CBP officers at the airport. At that point, when you enter as a green card holder. Your physical green card comes to you in a few weeks. That, in a nutshell, is a process for people who are coming from outside. So their medical is being done in their home country. But if you are in USA, your medical checkup is being done here along with the paperwork. What are the common errors made in the process? This process is relatively easy, and that's the part of the reason why I don't even advise in most of these cases that a lawyer is needed. But if you have, and I always tell people, if you have more money than time, then certainly get yourself a lawyer, because the lawyers can hopefully do a better job than you can yourselves. They do it for a living. They are aware of all the common errors, and hopefully they provide it for them. I can't really list any common errors because there aren't any. Common problems I can tell you. Biggest problem is getting birth certificates and marriage certificates for parents. Okay, that's a whole nother topic. Typically, in birth certificates, what is required is an acceptable birth certificate must be issued by the municipal corporation or the local government of where a person was born, and the birth should have been registered at the same time when they were born, within a few days, contemporaneous. So if somebody was born in 1960 and you registered their birth in 1990 or in 2000, that doesn't count. In that case, you need a certificate of non-availability from the local government saying that we don't have any birth registration for this person, or don't have it before the year 2000 when it was registered for the first time. And then you need to get 2 affidavits from people who were alive at the time that parent was born. The same goes for marriage certificate. You can get affidavits from people who attended the marriage or who are aware of the marriage. Along with that, supply whatever evidence you have of them having cohabited. That's the most common problem. Birth certificates of older parents. Okay. And if push comes to shove, we can always tell them, okay, do our DNA testing. Okay. See, if you have a problem like that, it may be better to go with a lawyer. You can handle it yourself, but it's a little bit more difficult. Okay. You wanted me to comment about, and again, I congratulate you on a very orderly mind. It's good that you got everything all written down, because that way I can answer it for the whole community. RFE, what is RFE date? Well, first of all, RFE means request for evidence. Typically, when you submit the papers, as long as you followed the instructions on the forms, even if you made mistakes or two, the case will not be dismissed out of hand. You'll be sent an RFE, a request for evidence. You respond to that within a certain number of weeks. It's written on the RFE how much time you have to respond. And you must get the papers back to USCIS within that time, or your case will be denied. Okay. You can refile a denied case, but you would have lost all the money. Checks. Should it be bankers? A check, as far as I know, no. They take personal checks. Heather, can you unmute yourself and comment, please? *6. They take personal checks, right? No problem?
Personal checks are perfectly fine. Money orders are also fine. If it's a personal check, payable to the Department of Homeland Security,
okay,
and it cannot be longer than 6 months old.
Very good. Thank you. That's perfect information. Should we be sending separate checks? Yes, we should be sending separate checks, because in case one form is defective, then the others are acceptable. Normally, that's the best way to do it. But it's not the end of the world if you send a consolidated check. Amounts are written on the forms themselves. Just follow the USCIS website instructions. Biometrics notice date. What is biometrics? Well, biometrics is when they do your fingerprinting, printings, pictures, etc. Where is the local biometrics office? It's called Application Support Center, ASC, and there will be some close to you. There's a whole list of application support centers at the USCIS website. Why should case get transferred? Two situations in which cases get transferred. One, if they want to interview a person, and that can be just random, excuse me, or because of specific reasons, which is not the end of the world. Is there a risk of this happening in our case? Oh, there's a little typo there. Yes, but it's not the end of the world. If the case gets transferred to the local office, no problem at all. EAD, Employment Authorization Document. You don't need it for your parents, they don't want to work, don't get it. Okay. Advance parole, that's the document which allows people to travel while their 485 is pending. So it's usually given for 2 years, right, Heather?
Sorry, I had muted it. Yes, it's usually valid for 2 years, although sometimes you can get a 1 year if it's a combo card with the EAD.
Okay, very good. So normally for 2 years, if you leave USA without having an advance parole, your I-485 is deemed to be abandoned. Okay. Therefore, you don't want to do that. You want to get an advance parole. And usually it takes about 90 days after you apply. I-485 notice of action, when can be expected? The times, approximate times, should be on USCIS website. About a month, Heather, most cases.
I'm sorry, for the 485?
Notice of action. What I mean is, I hope that doesn't mean approval. I mean, is it receipt? Let's talk about the receipt first. When you submit everything, you get receipts. A receipt is about a month's time?
Usually a couple of weeks after the fee is clear. We usually get them within 1 to 2 weeks. If there's an attorney involved, the receipt notices go both to the applicant's home address on file as well as the attorney's office.
Okay. Notice of action can mean an RFE. It can also mean an approval. And I said the approval times are on the USCIS website. At the end of the conversation, if you don't know where they are, I can show you how to get to them from our website. So because I hardly ever use USCIS website directly. I always go through our own website. Adjustment of status interview, AOS. Can we get interview date? So 485 is also called adjustment of status. It's the same thing. Okay. Can we get interview date even before 485 notice of action is received? Again, depends upon what notice of action. Action can be an RFE or approval. How should he prepare for it? There's no need to prepare for it. This is not an exam. What is name check? That's part of the security checks. There's 5 or 6 different security checks that are run by the government. Name check is one of them. And the way it works is most of these checks are automated. So they just go and check you against a database. But name check is partly automated. It goes to FBI, and if they check the name against known bad names database, and if something gray comes up, then an FBI agent has to actually physically check the background of the person. Okay. And by the way, this is from what I understand in my conversations with various FBI agents, this is one of the nastiest jobs, most boring jobs an FBI agent can get. And typically, rookie agents who are right out of training school, training academy, they are the ones who are given this job. So yeah, well, that's the way it works. Application case status, USCIS website. You can track your case to a certain extent, but not to the extent that when is it gonna get approved and who's working on it and how long will they take. But you can generally get the status of what's going on. Okay, it looks like we are done with the conversation at least. I'm just gonna unmute everybody.
The conference is now in conversation mode.
Everybody's unmuted, folks. Oh, did I do conversation again? Sorry. Let me. Oh yeah, it is conversation. Okay, so anybody has any questions on any topic, go ahead, please. It looks like we've cleared everybody's doubts. Excellent. Okay, let me just show you how to check the status, etc. Go back to immigration.com, and we go to popular information on the right hand side right here, and I go to processing times and status checks. And on the left hand side here, we have all the links. And this is where you can get your information from. Okay, folks, I have nothing else to add. If you have anything to ask me, please go ahead. Last call before we hang up. Very good. Heather, did you have any other comments?
I actually don't. I've been thinking, and I think you covered 100% of everything that we commonly get asked.
Thank you. Excellent. Good being with all of you. Thanks for logging in, guys. I'll see you in regular community conference call anyway. Bye-bye.